Hey guys, I wanted to take this time today to discuss Robert Sylvester Kelly, Kels. I took my time to do commentary on this topic because it is very difficult to take a stance in support of Kels when you have a whole society that appears to be against him, including the mass media. So I wanted to take my time and kind of find my lane in this whole YouTube experience. But I do want to make a couple of points today so people are aware. When you mention R. Kelly's name, and I'm not sure if you all do that, but I know I have done it. I ask people, what do they think about the case and what do they think about him as an individual? And they instantly say, oh, he's guilty. Oh, he's a pedophile. And when you enter the YouTube community and you support Kels, they automatically, we've been called being members of the P Hive, being pedophile supporters and all type of stuff. And I wanted to take the time to say today that it's levels to this case. You cannot just look into this case and from the surface. You have to really dig deep down into it and actually understand what's going on. The mass media is not going to tell you exactly what's going on. They're going to broadcast what's popular and what's going to get them the most views because, that's their job. But I still feel that they should be a little bit more objective when they're doing their commentary. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. It's a lot of people that are so educated and they have so much knowledge and they have degrees and PhDs and they're so qualified in everything. But when it comes down to it, they lack the ability to be objective. In order for you to understand what's going on with this case, you have got to be objective. And if you do not understand what objective means, that means to be able to look at the situation minus your personal opinion, okay? And that's how you have to look at this case. So people ask me all the time, why do you support Kels? And I'm going to tell you now, and this is probably the only time we're going to discuss it, so make sure you pay attention. First of all, I am from Chicago. I'm a Chicago native. I grew up in the neighborhood of Chicago on the south side of Chicago. And Kels also grew up on the south side of Chicago. And I'm the type of person that I'm going to support, first of all, anybody from Chicago, unless you got to really be a special type of person for me not, or have done something really ridiculous for me not to support you. Two, as a professional, you have to look at things in a different perspective. Okay. And once again, being objective. I know from life experience, professional experience, that when you have a person that has been, and this is the elephant in the room that nobody wants to discuss, when you have a person that has been sexually abused, allegedly from the age of, I believe it was 7 to 12, that's what's being reported. You have to look at that situation differently. You cannot ignore the fact that the sexual abuse happened. And then you also hear things about him not being able to read and write. A lot of the stuff he admits himself, and the same docu-lies that people are listening to, it also mentions in there that from his brother, he did an interview on that. He said that he's not only been molested by men, but also by women. Okay. And allegedly his older sister was the one who molested allegedly all of them. So you cannot listen to that and be an educated person and not put that into the situation to understand how that could have manifested. Now, do we know? Yes. Okay. And a lot of people have an argument and they say, okay, well, I was sexually abused at that age, and I didn't turn out, I didn't do anything to people, I didn't reoffend, or I didn't sexually abuse anybody. Okay, well, that's you. Okay, but we don't know at this point if it manifested into something else. You know, a lot of kids that are that are molested at that age, they tend to be over sexualized. It tends to, they have behavior issues and all this stuff. Studies have been done on this stuff. Okay, so you can't rule this out. And I'm so surprised with all these educators out here that ignore this fact. And that's the one thing that I cannot ignore. And people who are also educated, how do you ignore it? I just don't understand. How do you ignore that fact? You can't get around that with me. Okay, and also then you have possible mental health issues. Okay, if a person has mental health issues, how do you ignore their mental health issues? You can't tell me on one hand that this man abused these alleged accusers, that he abused them or raped them, kidnapped them, did anything to them, and expect me and the society to feel sorry for them, when you have no empathy for Kels himself, who was the original victim. Okay, so people have to look at things from both sides, and it has to be, I have to be able to understand it, because I don't understand how on one hand the female that is allegedly raped and molested, she's a victim, and oh, she's so damaged. But how do you ignore the fact that the allegedly the same thing happened to Kels at a young age? Okay, and also in that same docu-live series, if the brother also documented that that there was a alleged payout, that once there was some guy in their building that molested Kels, and he offered his mother what was it, $5,000, and his mother took the payment. So and think about him as a kid, knowing that he has been raped, molested, and abused, and then his mother allegedly takes a payout instead of sending this dude to jail or to prison or to the mental health institute. How do you think Kels felt? You know, please, you have to look at things differently and try to understand the full perspective of this case. Because as a child, you know, he felt abandoned. If your parent takes a payoff instead of sending the person that gives you harm either to the mental health institute or jail, you know, depending on where they need to go, how do you think the child feels? And the bigger question is, do you really think that after she accepted that payout, the abuse stopped? I don't think so. I think it got worse, and I think it continued after that, because he was basically given a green light and a pass to go ahead and do it again. The other thing I want to talk about is, and I want to try and keep this short because it's different levels to this case, but I might expand on this later too. But the age of consent. Now, growing up in the city, we all know that and in life, and all over the world, we all know that there are older men who date younger women, and that's not everybody likes it. I don't like it. Okay, I don't find it appealing. I don't want to date a guy that's way older than me. You know, I really don't. But when it comes down to this case, you have to take your personal opinion out of it. Okay, and that's the problem with this case. Everybody wants to insert their personal opinion. You also have a situation where a lot of the people who are against Kels have been also raped and abused, and they're victims themselves, and they take their personal situation and they add it into this case. And you can't really do that. You have to keep your personal opinion out of this case. You know, how you choose to live and how you choose to move in society, that's your prerogative, and you can't put that on someone else. Okay, So, but it's talking about the age of consent. It's very tricky, but to me, there's one thing that concerns me. Is I did some studies. I even talked to some attorneys about this. The age of consent is different ages across the state. So basically, this is something that politicians and laws were created. So in one state is 16, one state is 17, and one state is 18. So if there, to me, if there are some it needs to be some type of psychological, scientific measurements involved to set a age for the age of consent, because otherwise you're just picking numbers. Let's say we want. I think that children should wait to the age of 20. I don't think they understand sex and how to date men and deal with men until the age of 20. Okay, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to give that to my lobbyists and I'm going to try and push that forward. So now the new age of consent, if everybody agrees, is going to be 20. Now, come on. That is a huge problem and it needs to be looked into. Okay. Now, if I am wrong, please comment below or contact me, because I'm willing to discuss it. But at this point, from my research, there's no scientific evidence backing up these ages of consent in which children are allowed to have consent to have sex with someone else that is older. That's one of my concerns. And I think I'm going to end here because I don't want to go too far off into anything else. But please, when you hear someone mention this case, please understand that this case has many levels. And if you are going to, people want to say that people are victim bashing these accusers when we expose their lies and things that just aren't adding up and that are not true, and call us and say that we're victim bashing, but yet you call Kels a pedophile, a criminal, a monster, and everything else, and there hasn't been a court date. The trial hasn't even began. So it's kind of, and that's another reason why I support them, because I believe in that you are innocent until you are proven guilty, as everyone else should. Because when you are in the hot seat, trust me, you gonna want that same reprieve that Kels is allowed. Okay, so I think I'm gonna end it here, and I will be making another video. But everybody, please look at this case, minus your personal opinion, minus your personal experience, and free Kels.